Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here, as always, to keep you posted on the transfer market. Today, guys, as usual, many news, many things to say, and so let's jump into it together. Big moments, guys, on the market. We start from London, where Crystal Palace are playing football tonight, but Eberechi Eze is not there. Eberechi Eze is not there because at the beginning the idea was to play for Crystal Palace, to say goodbye on the pitch, but then for all parties the best decision was to be careful, avoid any injury, any problem, with a £60 million transfer imminent to Arsenal. Medical test to take place in the next 24 hours. Eberechi Eze ready to become a new Arsenal player, ready to start this new chapter after the hijack completed yesterday, as I told you. And so Eberechi Eze to Arsenal is here we go, is one of the big stories of this month. Agreement completely sealed with the player, with Crystal Palace, and so Eze is leaving. Crystal Palace are very active on the market. Now they will have money to invest. Yeremy Pino from Villarreal is a target, not an easy one. They're also looking at different players, so Palace are working hard to find new players with the imminent exit of Eberechi Eze. I wanted to stay in London for a moment, and I wanted to speak about one of the big names for the final days of this summer transfer window. One of the top players who are expected to be on the move, because Nicolas Jackson, he's still fully expected to part ways for Chelsea. It's a decision made on player side, on club side. It's the best moment to part ways and try something different. And for Nicolas Jackson, there is a crazy race ongoing with many top clubs interested in the player. What's going on right now? After some calls from Italy, because before signing Victor Boniface, Milan were interested, but then not possible to reach that numbers wanted by Chelsea for Nico Jackson. Napoli also always holding an interest in Nicolas Jackson, but very expensive striker for them, who are focused also on Rasmus Højlund. For Nicolas Jackson, there are several clubs calling in the recent hours. Among these clubs, we have to consider for sure Aston Villa. Aston Villa have been trying in the recent days to push. They made contact with all parties involved in the recent hours. Unai Emery was the coach of Nico Jackson at Villarreal a few years ago, and so Villa are pushing to get Nicolas Jackson. Let's see what happens there, if they can reach an agreement. But there are more clubs interested. Newcastle are still there. Newcastle are still interested in Nicolas Jackson, and that's going to be an important story to follow, of course, for the strikers topic. And Newcastle, that remains one of the main ones for these final days of the summer transfer window. So Aston Villa, Newcastle, but we have to add also the strong interest coming from Bayern, because also Bayern are closely monitoring the situation of Nicolas Jackson. Also Bayern made some calls a few weeks ago, and Bayern remain attentive to the situation of Nicolas Jackson. So Bayern are interested, Aston Villa are interested, Newcastle are interested, all these clubs attentive. From Italy, Napoli watching the situation, but again is expected to be very expensive, so let's see what they decide to do. But Nicolas Jackson is going to be one of the big names for these final days of the summer transfer window, with the decision expected soon for the striker who is ready to make his move out of Chelsea. Then, mentioning Chelsea, don't forget also about the situation of Xavi Simons, because Chelsea keep patiently working on the Xavi Simons deal, waiting for not just Jackson but also Nkunku to leave. I can guarantee that despite the words of Red Bull Leipzig manager, despite the player being on the pitch and all the rest, well, Xavi Simons only wants Chelsea. Xavi Simons is waiting for Chelsea. Now we are in the final days of the window, so the expectation has always been for these deals, Garnacho and Xavi, to happen at the very end, and we are almost there for Garnacho and for Xavi Simons. So the plan remains confirmed for both of them to go to Chelsea. For Garnacho, the deal is happening. For Xavi Simons, there is still some work to do, but Chelsea confident to make it happen. Also that one. We mentioned strikers for Napoli, and they remain a part of the conversation in this transfer window. Italian clubs, not only Napoli, because there are several things to follow, to check and to clarify about that. The first one is about Rasmus Højlund. For Rasmus Højlund, what's the situation? Just to explain to you guys, Hojlund always wanted to stay at Man United. Wanted to stay, wanted to continue, wanted to fight for his place. He said that in public. That was the feeling also internally at Manchester United. Then United manager Ruben Amorim sent a clear message. 0 minutes against Fiorentina, not even in the squad against Arsenal, and now Hojlund has to go. For Hojlund, now the preference of the player is for a loan with obligation to buy, so a permanent move. Many people can say why he wanted to stay at Manchester United, why he wants to go now on loan with obligation and not only option. Because Hojlund wants to feel the confidence in his new club. Doesn't want to go on loan and then back to Man United, just spending a few months out and then return to the club, find a new club. Hojlund wants to feel full confidence. This is the message from Rasmus Højlund to Napoli. Napoli are interested in Rasmus Højlund, but the message from the player is that he wants to move on loan with an obligation. He prefers an obligation to buy. Man United also prefer that solution, so let's see what happens there. But Rasmus Højlund is going to be one of the names to watch in these final days of the summer transfer window for Napoli, and not only, because the message from Højlund is that he wants to go on loan with obligation. So, keep an eye on the situation of Rasmus Højlund, and keep an eye also on the situation of Jadon Sancho. For Sancho, the message from Red United remains the same. No chance to return in the squad. Sancho doesn't even want to return in the squad, so the relationship remains completely broken between Man United and Sancho. Man United position on Roma deal, we have many rumors, many stories. On Roma deal, for Man United it's very clear. Man United would take the offer from Roma. It's already clear since more than 1 week ago. £20 million, loan with obligation. For United is okay. United would take that money and let the player go. It's the player who said no on Monday, and at the moment the player is still not giving any different indication about that. Then guys, if Sancho will decide to reopen talks with Roma, we will be here to let you know in the next days. As of today, Sancho is still not accepting, not opening doors to Roma move. So, let's see what's going to happen there, but Sancho remains one of the players who have to leave Manchester United in these final days of the summer transfer window, because the relationship, again, with Roma is with the Manchester United is completely broken. So let's follow that one. Let's follow also, we started in London, we finished in London, the situation of Savinho, because Tottenham Hotspur are not giving up on Savinho. I told you last night, Eze is over, Eze is going to Arsenal. Tottenham want to insist for Savinho. Also today, Tottenham had new contacts for Savinho. The message remains the same from Man City. They want to keep the player, they don't want Savinho to go. There is someone in Manchester City hierarchy pushing to keep Savinho at the club and closing doors to Tottenham, but I can guarantee to you that Tottenham are pushing. Tottenham are insisting. Tottenham believes Savinho is the perfect signing. Thomas Frank, Tottenham manager, is in love with Savinho and wants Savinho to join. So let's see if they can find a solution. Let's see if they can find a way with Manchester City. For sure, the player is keen on the move and Tottenham are pushing. Now, this story depends on what happens with Manchester City. But Tottenham are still there. They made new contacts today and Tottenham don't want to give up because they really want to try to get Savinho this summer. And so guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories from Nicolas Jackson, where do you expect him to go, and then Sancho, Hojlund, Xavi Simons, but also Savinho, Eze, and all the rest. Let me know your opinion, guys, here in the comments. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and see you soon here with many movements in a crazy moment for the summer transfer window. The final week is now coming soon.